Welcome back to the VST channel. 3 months ago I did the very same video, but instead of the Xiaomi 14 Ultra I got the Xiaomi 14 Pro, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and instead of the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra I got the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now it's time for this video again. We really have the top of the line from all the Android phones right now, the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. I'm gonna start it right now. Then I'm going to also power on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and last but not least, guys, Galaxy S24 Ultra. 8 Gen 3 here, 8 Gen 3 here, Apple A17. Again, this is really like what you can best buy with your money. So, in this video, we are going to check the customization options, HyperOS here, the iOS latest version everywhere, and here we have One UI 6.1. After customizations, I'm gonna show you a bit of the animations, do some follow-ups and opening, and I'm shooting this video in 4K 60 beautiful footage for you to be able to assess really which phone is doing the best. I'm running the latest HyperOS on my Xiaomi 14 Ultra, the version 1030. By the way, this is already an update, so it's not really what I got out of the box. The latest iOS 17.4 on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the latest One UI version 6.1 from March AXBG on my Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. I'm also shooting this video in a beautiful 4K 60 FPS so that you can assess for yourself what is happening and where do you find it. I'm also shooting this video in a beautiful 4K 60 FPS so that you will have the full potential and chance to assess what is happening on the phones. The first thing I want to demonstrate is the always on display, and then the lock screen, and of course all the customizations. Before I start, some settings. I'm using the always on display on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, the standard one. The always on display on the iPhone 15 Pro Max with the option to show the wallpaper, and the always on display on my S24 Ultra with the same show lock screen wallpaper. Okay, what does this mean? This means that when I engage with the always on, I'm actually gonna get this very nice wallpaper on the background. And on the Xiaomi, guys, I wanna show you, this is really stunning, all right? This is perhaps the best animation that I've seen in a phone in a while, and I'm not joking. Every time I unlock this, guys, it's just a pleasure. All right, so I'm just gonna do this several times so that you can also experience this very nice and very beautiful animation. One more time, going to the always on display, clicking to go to the lock screen, and then going inside the phone with another animation. Now, here I do have the always on display, there's a lock screen, the phone tries to recognize me, and now on the S24 Ultra, this here is my lock screen, and if I leave the phone apart, it will go back to the always on display. One more time on the Xiaomi, this is really stunning. In this section, we're gonna cover the lock screen customization, and we're gonna start with the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, it's HyperOS. So the moment you're entering the edit, you'll have this very nice menu where you can just go and choose a different style. And by the way, the same was also on the Xiaomi 14 Pro. It's really stunning, guys. Like, I have a feeling that no frames are dropped. It's so fluid, right? And by the way, it's kind of cool because you can just select the style, and then you can go left and right and decide to choose different screens. So let's say I want to customize this. I'm gonna hit here the customization, right? And now I have a few options. I can change the font, right, like this, or this, or this, okay? I can also decide to change the color. So let me just hit this, or you can go for the primary color, right? Then I can go back, and there are some other things that are very, very nice. If I go to the wallpaper, I can decide to change the wallpaper. So let's just see what makes sense. Okay, let's choose this one. And now, guys, pay attention. There is something called depth, and I know this will spark some controversy, and yes, it was the first time where Apple did it, but I'm very happy that Xiaomi found a way to do that inside the HyperOS. Why? Well, you can also achieve this on One UI, but you have to use some good luck modules, or at least this was the case with One UI 6. I still don't believe that they fixed that, or that One UI 6.1 will allow you this option, but it's really cool the fact that you're able to do so. And by the way, you can also try to pinch to crop, so we can make this a very big wallpaper. Right now, of course, there is not an option to position the depth effect, but in most of the cases, right, you have the option to use it. And I actually kind of like this, right? So maybe just make it like this so that you can see the clock. You can also click on the filter button, and guys, you're able to also play with filters on the wallpaper, and there are really a lot of styling options. So if you want to play with the style, right, you can do this. There is also the matte effect. You can also combine the matte effect, which is kind of like a very severe blur, with different filters. So I would say you have plenty of options. The moment you apply this, let me just pick up the depth effect, and I'm gonna apply this. This will become your wallpaper. Now, because I'm using a super wallpaper, this is the whole animated thing, I am going to lose that. But hey, that's still okay, because I wanted to show you all the customization options that I have. And there are more. Now let me show you. This is the classic one. Down below we have the rhombus one, and like I told you, can just scroll to the left or the right to pick a style that really, will suit your purpose, and then we have the magazine style. Alright, so this is what you can do on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra with a HyperOS. Now, this is the iOS, guys. It's also very nicely presented, so you can just scroll left and right to choose your collection, right? So let's say I like this one. I can customize it, right? The moment I hit the customize button, I have the option to customize the wallpaper. Now, this is the wallpaper for the lock screen. On the iOS screen, I have two buttons. The first one is the depth. So when I click it, I have depth effect on and off. And I think it's pretty obvious. And of course, there is this thing, like I cannot say that it's different, right? Like apparently Xiaomi just took this directly out of Apple. And now I know, like some people will say, hey, listen, somebody else did it first. I think that's obvious the case with Apple. They're really not inventing a lot of the things, but they're just trying to select what they think is best and adopt it. But depth effect on and off, that's one thing. We also have the appearance, so it could be automatic, light or dark. And now guys, we can also select the individual widgets here. So we have a selection of widgets like sunrise, weather, calendar. We have also clock, Facebook, fitness, a lot of these things that are standard there. And you can try to customize them and also put them on the screen. When I click on the font, apparently I can also change the color and also the font. Like I want to get, let's say, this, and I can also change the size. And of course, you have also some color options presented. So this is what you can do on the iOS screen. If I press cancel, guys, I can select another one, or I can also go and select a whole new collection. So let's say right now I'm gonna get another collection. There are some features one. Let's say I want to use the kaleidoscope. I can click it there. I'm gonna get a standard date with the time. Now I can press the widget, and you can also put on the lock screen these nice widgets, let's say Spotify, or let's say alarms. Let's check what you can do on the HyperOS. You can click all these things and get information from the weather, or let's say choose your steps. So you pretty much have equalized option on all of those phones. But now let's check what you can do with the S24 Ultra. You have a standard setup, first with the time and also the date. Well, you can click this one and see all the options popping up. So we have different clock styles, right? You can put it there, you can center it there. There are a lot of clock styles. Also, you can select the different font. Also, you can make it bigger, right? And you can also try to change the color. Now, I like the automatic color because this is adapted from the wallpaper. But if you don't like this, you can always go and choose something else. So let's say right now I'm gonna choose this style, right? I can go back. Something that is new in One UI 6, you can apparently now try to move this a bit more on the screen and align it. You cannot do this on One UI 6. And we have also, of course, widgets. If I click here, guys, you're gonna see I have options for the battery. So the battery status like this, I can now put it. So I'm gonna have like a dual battery status. You have an option for calendar, you have an option for clock, reminder, Samsung hack, and of course you have also a lot of options for the weather. You can even go and put the moon phase. And down below, you have the options for your notifications. So you can get a detailed one like this, or not at all, or just icons only. Right, you can also select these two icons. Those two icons are like shortcuts. So right now I'm opening the dialer, but I can also click here and I'm gonna open the calculator, right? So you can also decide to open the clock, or let's say open the torch. So you have a lot of options. And this here is the second shortcut, which is present for the camera. If I click on the wallpapers, you can see how many options do we have here. Really a lot. And of course, you know that there is the option to use a AI generated one, but let's for now say I want to use this one. And you can see how beautifully the colors change because I'm using here the adaptive color. And I can always go and change it. So I would say that the Samsung S24 Ultra with the One UI really offers a lot of customization options, right? You have really plenty of styles. You can just see on the iPhone, there are not so many. I think they have like 8 standard fonts, right? You can play with the size. but on the One UI 6.1 you can do plenty of stuff. And imagine also with Good Lock, there are so many Good Lock modules that will help you customize your phone. Also, I don't see a very nice way to add more widgets, and just make sure that I'm doing it the right way, guys. I'm gonna go and try to select magazines. So I'm gonna press the customize. All right, you can see, by the way, the customize look quite nice. The time is here, the date is here, so this really looks blended in, and I really like the way they achieved that one. And of course you have the depth effect, which, yeah, in this case this doesn't really look so great. I want to go back to the ones that I created and click here, see what options do I have. So here I can get UV index, so it seems that this is from the weather. And of course I can do some steps like some from health. If I click here, I have also the option to put a signature. So here is the VST, and if I put it like this, boom, this is gonna use the depth effect. So there are a lot of customization options on all these three phones, but I still think that One UI is really unprecedented. Also, combined with Good Lock, you can do a lot of things that you're not so able to do on the other phones. Now, we're here, this is the main home screen, it's time for some navigation. Xiaomi 14 Ultra is the Chinese one. If I go to the left, I don't have anything, but you have the option to go inside your home settings and you can switch the upvote. So if I switch the upvote and I go back on my home screen, if I go to the left, I'm gonna get here the upvote. And by the way, that's the iPhone. If I go to the left, guys, well, I know what you think, that really Xiaomi is trying to copy Apple. I'm not here to judge. If I go to the left on my S24 Ultra, I'll get my Google feed, and honestly, this is the most usable scenario for myself, because a lot of the things that I'm interested in, like music, games, whatever things, they're going to be here. So I'm not a big fan of using the upvote, and this is why I always disable it on the Xiaomi phone. This is the standard look on the iOS. Now, if I keep scrolling, guys, on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, I'm going to get just to the next screen. If I keep scrolling on my S24 Ultra, I'm going to reach my end screen and see what happens here. If I keep scrolling on the iPhone with the iOS, I'm going to get down to the app library. The app library is the closest that you'll get to an app drawer. And by the way, if I go to my S24 Ultra and I scroll up, this is gonna be, guys, I have the app drawer here with all my apps. If I do this on my Xiaomi, well, yeah, you see, first I do not have it, but because HyperOS is also very customizable, the moment I enter the settings from here and I click more, I will be presented with options for my home screen. Three options. We have the classic one, so every new app that you install will just end up on the main home screen or the screen next to the home screen. But on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, I have the options to use the app drawer, right? And also light mode. So light mode is with bigger UI elements, with, let's say, all the people or people that have problems with eyes. Now, let me show. If I am to use the app drawer, I'm gonna get a lot of options here. I have the options to manage app categories. You have backgrounds, scroll bar. So right now, the phone will recycle, and what happens is the moment I do like this, I'm gonna get the famous launcher with auto grouping. So communication, entertainment, photography, and you can, by the way, customize this, right? And you can just create your own custom groups. I really like this. So now every time I do install a new application, it will also go on my home screen and also end up in the app drawer. By the way, pay attention to the animation. Every time I move the icons and the groups behind the search bar, it looks so awesome, guys. It has this 3D depth effect. It's really impressive, and I really like this type of animation. See, even if you do it very quickly, you're gonna see how the icons just get beneath or under the app library. I think it's a small thing, but I really like small things like this. Now, going back on the main screen, let me show you what you can do more. If I just swipe down like this, I'm gonna get access to the control center. Oh, what a surprise. Well, if I do it like this, I'm gonna get the same here. And what a surprise, if I swipe on the S24 Ultra, I'm gonna get the same. Now, I would say that all these three phones work into the exact same way. Why? If I swipe from the left, I'm gonna get access now to my notifications, all right? Notifications here, and also notifications on my S24 Ultra. So I really lost count on who is really copying who, but this is the end result. So this is how the quick settings looks like. Well, of course, the Xiaomi HyperOS looks similar like the iOS, and this is the brand new control center that Samsung presented into the One UI 6 with the separation here on Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the main settings, the settings for your display, and the smart things down below. Honestly, this right now is my favorite. I don't like this and I don't like this either, but I can also not say like how similar the brightness bar and even the icons are. So the only difference is here the size and okay, a bit more different design on the speaker here, but else I would say that yeah, definitely Xiaomi was inspired by Apple, I guess, in that case. Now from here the way it works is quite standard, right? So you can just go left and right and just open whatever you want. It's the same on the iPhone. You can also try to put more toggles there, and on the Samsung you just have this very nice scroll navigation to the left and right from which you can do whatever you want. Now let's go back to notifications. If we do like this, right, we have notifications, and with the swipe of a finger we can try to clear them. The same happens on the iOS, and the same happens also on the S24 Ultra. So right now I'm gonna press clear to show you how it works, and I don't have any notifications on the iPhone, also no notifications on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. Now let's check what happens when I press the volume rocker. One press up on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, volume rocker is here, boom, then goes to the right. One press on the iOS, it's here on the left and then goes on the right. And if I press the volume rocker, yeah, I think it's the least impressive one. Now let's check the extended options. If I press the volume rocker and click here, I'm gonna get access to the different volume settings, notification, media, alarms. You get like this. If you press the same on the iOS and click here, well, nothing will happen because that's iOS. And now pay attention, guys. Although initially very unimpressive, when I press here, I get even more settings on the One UI. Let's check more of the things that we can do on the home screen. So let's say I want to delete this application on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra with HyperOS. I will just click it and I have the option to delete it, right? Information and delete. If I want to delete TikTok from the iPhone, I will just have to hold it, press edit home screen, and then guys, see all the icons will start to dance, the famous iOS dance, and then I can press the delete button and it's go away. Let's say I want to delete this application here, right? I have the option to remove and of course uninstall. If I remove it, it's just going to be removed from the home screen. I'm going to still have it in the up drawer. And of course we have now this One UI dance. Again, it's just tiny bit difference. Now, what happens if you want to edit things on your home screen? If I click like this, I'm going to have the option to select multiple icons. So the moment I select multiple icons, I can decide them, guys, to move them to another screen. So let me just demonstrate. I will select this, this, and this, and I want to move all these three to my next screen. All right, as simple as that. Then I'm just going to press this sign, boom, all these applications are here. Let's see what happens on the One UI 6.1. So the moment I'm like this, well, yeah. If I'm to move an icon, I have to hold the icon like this, guys, and then I can move it to another screen, like for example this case. But I don't have this, and honestly, this is by far the best way to just like mass edit things. And I'm not sure why One UI is not bringing this. I probably have a theory why Apple will not do it, or at least don't do it so quickly, but this definitely is missing on the other phones. If I want to do the same with the iPhone, I will need to hold the icon, all right, and I can then decide to move it somewhere else. One option is to group several icons into a folder like this, all right, and then move the whole folder, right? It's not so convenient, but this is also something that you do, and provided that we don't have many other options, this is still something that you can use to move multiple icons from one screen to the next screen. Now let's see some other interesting things. If I click on the Spotify icon, I'll get a selection of things that I'm listening, even the Made For You playlist, also the option to search directly for something. If I do this on the iOS, guys, I will also get the same, like a search and then different playlists. And if I keep the same on the One UI 6.1, I'm gonna get search and then also Made For You. So it's really good to see that a lot of these big vendors are trying to implement things like this that are very usable and will allow you to just trigger actions directly from the icons. Let me go back on the home screen and let's go inside the settings, because I want to show you some things I believe are important. This is the display and brightness. And I said it's important because of course this controls how you perceive your phone, how you see your phone. So the standard settings in the HyperOS is the light mode here and the dark mode, which is the color scheme. And this is the very same in iOS, right? It's a bit different in terms of design. They call it appearance, but it still allows you to go from light to dark, which we can do also on the HyperOS, which is very nice and beautiful transitions. And oh, what a surprise! It's the same in One UI 6.1. when going from the light to dark will also produce, I would say, a rather nice animation. So nice transition on all these three phones. Then on the HyperOS we have the dark mode options. You can switch to dark mode, you can adjust some things, backgrounds on the dark mode. You have also some options which are really custom for the specific iOS, and then we have the brightness level. Now, what I don't like in the iPhone is that the brightness bar really so tiny. The brightness bar in One UI 6.1 is also a bit bigger since Android 14, but it's not like this. This here is very convenient, and I do also like these design elements, like the toggles. By the way, see, the toggles here, right, in the Android 14 Xiaomi HyperOS are similar like the toggles we have here on the latest iOS, and the toggles here, I think they're just coming from the standard Android. So I just wanted to show this to you guys for you to know really what design language is being used in, let's say, standard things, which is the settings menu. When I scroll down like to the bottom of the screen, I'm gonna get this nice jumping effect. When I do this on the iOS, it's kind of the same. Again, no surprise by this time. And when I do this on the One UI 6, I have it, but it's kind of limited. Now let's cover the animation topic. For this, I first want to show you the recents menu. This is here the animation that you get from the Xiaomi HyperOS and the standard look. This is what you get on the iPhone, and this is what you get on the One UI 6.1, right? When you do like this, you will have all the applications from left, right. Here, guys, kind of the same, and it's quite quick. This is something that I don't like, this representation. If you don't like this arrangement, you can go in the home screen setting and choose the horizontal arrangement and also show the memory status. Now, boom, I'm gonna get really something that is better suited for my test. And I do love the animation. So there are also a lot of possibilities in HyperOS for customizing your phone. I'm gonna close everything to show the closing animation. I'm gonna close everything here, and sadly, you know, the way it works on iOS, guys, you don't have a close button. Do you know why? Because iOS knows better than you. And by the way, you might know this is also kind of the standard implementation on Pixels in the Android. So you have a close button to the left. What people are saying is that you should not be closing your apps manually, and you should let the phone do this because that's connected to the way phone is managing your memory and RAM. Honestly, I really want to have control of all of these options. Now, let's open some folders and see the animations. Again, I'm reminding you that this video has been recorded in 4K 60 FPS just for this specific purpose, for you to be able to assess better what is happening here, here, and here. So, opening the folder. All right. What I like is that the moment I press the folder opening, it centers the folder on my screen and it applies this very heavy blur. See, like I'm almost not able to recognize the background. Now, folder, here, same. The folder is centered on the screen and I do have this dramatic blur effect, blurring everything else. And what happens on the One UI 6.1, you press the folder, it opens, it's centered on the button part of the phone, but you still have this very nice, I would say, dramatic blur applied everywhere. So let's say I want to change it. I click here, right? And then I can put social, right? You also have recommended apps. Don't do this. You don't want to do this. On the iOS, you just click here and, well, nothing will happen. Why? Because to change the folder name, you should click here and then press rename, which is actually adding another step. How does it work on the One UI 6.1? Well, I'm opening the folder, I click here. Well, it's pretty much the same as on the Xiaomi. But on iOS, you need to execute two actions in addition. One is to hold the folder, then click on rename. You get the point, right? I don't think that's well optimized. It is also taking more time. But let's now open the folder, and now let's try to open some of the applications to check the animations. And of course, we're gonna start with the Xiaomi. So opening the Telegram here, all right, and closing the Telegram. So opening and closing, you can see how beautiful it works. Here, the same, opening, closing, right? All the animations are different. I would say also very flawlessly executed, and also on the S24 Ultra. Now pay attention, guys. When I open the folder and I open the application and I go back, what I don't like here is that I'm sent directly back to the home screen. But remember, this application is actually inside my folder. So when I open my folder on iOS and also on HyperOS, and I open the application and I decide to go off, I'm gonna get back to the folder. Here, I'm opening the folder, I open the application, well, and then I go back to the home screen. So what I want to have in the future is to have an option to select, should I go back to my home screen or should I go back to the folder? And maybe also iOS and HyperOS can do this. They can put an option for you to go back on the home screen and not go back on the folder. Now, let's try to open Facebook, Facebook here, Facebook here, all right, and Facebook here. If we try to scroll down, guys, you can just see like all these phones, they will not have a problem with executing tasks like this. Now, let's exit, all right, back on the folder, exit, back on the folder, exit, and again, I'm gonna be back on the home screen and not on the folder. Let's also open YouTube here on the Xiaomi, open the YouTube on my iPhone, and guys, I'm gonna also open the YouTube on my S24 Ultra. I'm gonna do some scrolling, guys, and now I'm gonna exit, again, back into the folder, back into the folder, back on the main screen. Now, there are some things, guys, that are just not present on the iOS. I just want to quickly show this to you. So, for example, I can open two apps in a split screen. I can do the same on the Xiaomi, just holding the application there and selecting split screen. So right now you can see I can have like two apps in a split screen. This is something that you cannot still do on iOS, or at least not do this with using the stock apps. I know that there's some workarounds, but anyway, I'm just reviewing right now stock functionality. And why I'm showing this to you guys, just to show you how many more options do I have in terms of customizations. And by the way, we have floating screen, right? So if I hold the application like this, I can put it and pop it out. And by the way, did you see this beautiful animation? Let's do this one more time. Here is that Telegram, and I'm going to click the floating menu. Boom. Very nice and very, very beautiful animation. And by the way, you can just see you can drag this around where you want. The thing is, can we also open another app in the floating menu? Well, let's see. How can I know this? I'm gonna open Twitter. I'm gonna go into the recent menu and I'm going to select the floating menu. Well, so the answer is yes. So right now I have Twitter running in a floating window and I have pinned the Telegram here. And I can decide to minimize this on the S24 Ultra and then just drag it where I want. I'm just showing these things, guys, so that you know they exist, because a lot of these things are just simply not possible on iOS. So here we have the option to go full screen. One more time, going to the floating menu, clicking here. So full screen, I can do split screen, upper part, bottom part, and I can also close it the way I want. And you have also the options to pin these things on the right. So this is really very powerful, and I really am waiting for the day when Apple is gonna introduce this in iOS. They do have similar things like this in iPadOS, but sadly they are not working on iOS. You might already notice that the S24 Ultra seems to have the largest screen, and that's important because you can take the phone and you can also rotate it in this way. Like, I almost never use it in this way on the home screen, but it's good that this option is included stock in One UI 6.1. Now let's check how widgets perform on these three phones. I'm gonna start with the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. All right, the weather widget, standard one. By the way, notice this, guys. I'm gonna open the widget one more time. Very nice and beautiful animation, all right? And the moment you open it one more time, it will just be so lively and move very, very good. I'm impressed. This here is iOS. Also, I would say, yeah, it's kind of like matching the animation, maybe not so immersive, but I do like what happens with the phone. The moment you just open the widgets and go back, the screen zooms in and out, which really adds this immersiveness. And what happens on the Samsung? Open it. Again, it's not so photorealistic, but I really like the Samsung animation. Minimizing it, right? Again, we have here this zoom in, zoom out also on the iPhone, and also zoom in, zoom out on the iPadOS with the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. I do believe that I've tried to cover as many things that I think are interesting and that separates all these three phones apart. If I've missed some things, let me know which they are. I'll probably do a revisit video in the next few months. And guys, really thank you so much for watching. You're helping the channel by watching my content. And if you decide to sub, well, thank you so much for the sub. VST over and bye.